it was really bad how it looks. And he said, you can't train your eyeball to be stronger. It is what it is. There's protection here and here, but he obviously got no protection because the fingers were straight in. The fight should have been stopped. He couldn't see. It was a foul. He couldn't see. Then you can't fight. You know, if he'd have got knocked out with a head kick next, then it would have been worse. I don't know. And then he said, sometimes when your eyes here like that, it can become displaced and stay there. And they did a few tests on that, and they said it doesn't seem like that. And his vision on the eye that's the best eye.
Tom Aspinall and his family are reportedly outraged with Dana White over what occurred during the post-fight interview after UFC 321.
The way everybody feels. Great showing, shitty ending, you know? I think that after the Jones fight, a lot of people wrote Ciryl Gane off. He looked damn good tonight.
Yeah, what did you think about the fight on its way to the eye poke? What did you take from those 4 minutes?
Good. Looked like we were in for a few rounds and it was going to be a good fight.
It would seem obvious that a rematch is right on the cards. Would you like to just rebook these guys as soon as Tom is able to get back in there?
Yeah, total pain in the ass, but yes.
Tom didn't want to continue in the fight. I mean, could you imagine if you're Tom Aspinall listening to that? Could you imagine? I mean, we know that no one from the UFC was with him at the hospital. We saw that on his video blog. Could you imagine how this guy must be feeling on this Monday? Everyone calling him into question, his heart into question, because he got poked in the eye multiple times, one of them knuckle deep, and his promoter is saying Tom didn't want to continue. Not Tom was fouled with an illegal strike, multiple illegal strikes. Let me ask you a question. If that happened in some alternate universe to AJ, to Anthony Joshua, what do you think Eddie Hearn is saying? Eddie Hearn's probably still at the hospital with him. That's the difference. That's what I talk about. How do you think Tom feels on this Monday? Do you think he wanted it to end like that? Do you think that Tom was saying to himself, you know what? I got a bloody nose. The going got tough here. Peace out, guys. I'm out. Again, the fight wasn't as one-sided as people want you to believe. Yeah, I know it was weird that he was bloody. And yeah, I know it was weird that he was losing a round. We never see him lose rounds. We never see it go past the 2 minute and 2 second mark. That's his fight average going into this fight. But do you guys really think that he was looking for a way out?
What is he doing? The left one was really deep. The left one was really deep. Sorry. Yeah, sorry,
got warned twice before it.
Yeah,
twice before he got warned for it.
Mike Bisping, he lost his eye. And it's just a horrendous thing to think as a parent, really. And I know what it's like these days with people saying what they want, but if it's just your son and they could lose an eye and their health and they've got children to look after, you know, something needs doing about it. Yeah, it's horrendous for me to look.
Despite everything Tom Aspinall has contributed to the UFC, his loyalty, professionalism, and reputation as a polished heavyweight ambassador, the aftermath of UFC 321 left him feeling publicly undermined. Rather than standing behind a fighter who had just endured one of the most severe eye injuries seen inside the octagon, Dana White stated in the post-fight interview that Aspinall chose not to continue. What went unmentioned was the sequence that led to the stoppage. During the bout, Ciryl Gane made contact with Aspinall's eyes twice. The second incident was especially damaging, a deep, double-finger gouge that forced medical intervention. This wasn't a superficial injury or manageable swelling. Aspinall's eyesight was compromised to the point that he could no longer see, leaving the cage-side physician with no choice but to halt the contest.
E aí, Potan? Acontece.
I just walked out of watching this fight. I'm out here on campus. ESPN is right out my window if you find that interesting. All right. I share that with you because I'm mad. I'm mad. But I don't know who I'm mad at. Tom did not do anything wrong. Tom was poked in the eye. As a matter of fact, he was poked in both eyes. Now, I don't believe Ciryl did that on purpose. So, I also can't or am not mad at Ciryl. But I am mad. I'm looking for somebody to blame. But I don't quite know who to blame. Now, before we get to that, okay, there was a pretty interesting fight going on. The story going into this fight is Tom has the power to just go knock him out. We're not saying Tom's a better kickboxer. We get that Ciryl did that for many years of his life. We get that Ciryl had over 30 professional kickboxing bouts. But Tom, a little younger, a little bigger, shown to have a little bit better power, if you just want to look at results, and has the ability to knock him out. However, if Tom tests that and doesn't knock him out, he'll just take him down and beat him up.
Yeah, I don't really like the notion of that either. It didn't look like he won, and then he's getting a title shot. I think people are a little bit sour about that. I just want to fight. I want to be as active as possible. I want to fight as much as frequently as I possibly can. Yeah, I just want to get back to what I do and what.
But a lot of this could have been calmed down. A lot of this could have been quieted, could have been subdued if perhaps, I don't know, the face of the company would have gone to the press conference and said, look, that was a great fight. That was a great round. We're going to rebook it right away.
Earlier in the fight, the referee had already cautioned Ciryl Gane on 2 separate occasions for extending his fingers dangerously. Yet when the incident was discussed afterward, Dana White never referenced those warnings or Gane's role in what happened. Instead, the focus shifted entirely to Gane's performance. White highlighted how sharp he looked, pointed out the damage on Tom Aspinall's face, and suggested the bout might have gone on. All of this was said while Aspinall was already en route to the hospital, alone, without any UFC officials present, only to later discover that the promotion's president had publicly framed the stoppage in a way that placed responsibility on him. Sources within Aspinall's circle say the reaction has been intense. Behind the scenes, his frustration has reached a boiling point.
Do you think that Tom was saying to himself, you know what? I got a bloody nose. The going got tough here. Peace out, guys. I'm out. Again, the fight wasn't as one-sided as people want you to believe. Yeah, I know it was weird that he was bloody. And yeah, I know it was weird that he was losing a round. We never see him lose rounds. We never see it go past the 2-minute and 2-second mark. That's his fight average going into this fight. But do you guys really think that he was looking for a way out? And again, I bring up the topic that I brought up last week, and I bring up the topic that I've been bringing up ever since I've been sitting in a chair like this, talking into a camera like that. This notion of intentional versus unintentional is the stupidest shit in sports. Period. Period. You don't hear it anywhere else. Let me ask you guys a question. Yesterday, I'm watching the New York Knicks against the Miami Heat. Crucial juncture of the game. Knicks are down like 8 or so. They have the ball. Josh Hart gets called for an offensive foul. Illegal screen. Do the referees converge and say, like, did he mean to do that or did he not mean to do that? No. A foul is a foul. Ball goes the other way.
Because it went a few minutes. It doesn't mean in any way, shape or form here that Tom Aspinall was struggling. He fucking wasn't. Ciryl Gane's a good technical fighter. He was making it more difficult to catch him. But it wasn't like he was dishing out loads of punishment just because Tom had a bloody nose from a punch. Fucking Floyd Mayweather had a black eye from fucking Deji. A little bit of damage when you're in there throwing big fucking fists at each other is going to happen sometime. It does not reflect the way the fight is actually going. Little bit of blood. As long as you can breathe out that nose, you are fine. And it's this context that in the MMA and fight world, people just fucking ignore for some reason.
I saw Tom Aspinall on there land some nasty stuff too. I saw Tom Aspinall throw a high kick. I've never seen him throw a high kick, and it's partly because he's never had to throw a high kick. There are layers to these guys' games that we have to find only when they're fighting someone that not only deserves to be in there with them, but can extend them to a point where they have to use all of their weapons.
I mean, look, DC knows MMA. I'm not going to say he's talking total shit there, but I think if Tom Aspinall is being experimental in there and showing us things that he's not showing us before, I don't think for 1 second it's because I'm going to struggle here. I need to throw a high kick. I've never done that before. I don't think that's in his mind at all. He's so comfortable in there. He is showing more of his skill set that he has said he's been working on in the last year.
Aspinall has reportedly told people close to him that the entire situation felt like a personal betrayal. He was stunned by how quickly the narrative shifted against him after what he views as a freak incident completely outside his control. Backstage, he's said to have expressed that he devoted everything to the promotion, only to be portrayed as someone who chose not to continue. He insists the reality was simple. His vision was gone, and competing was impossible. Those around him say he's now more motivated than ever to return and remove any doubt about his toughness once and for all. From his perspective, the frustration didn't begin that night. For well over a year, his career path had already been tangled in delays, waiting on the long-discussed bout with John Jones, sitting inactive and accepting matchups that did little to advance his standing. Then, when he finally stepped into a meaningful contest, an accidental foul ended everything abruptly. Overnight, the storyline flipped, and he found himself cast as the one at fault. His father, Andy Aspinall, has also spoken openly about the fallout. He's described deep disappointment with how the organization handled the aftermath, and indicated that once Tom's current deal expires, a transition to boxing is being seriously considered. A move he believes would bring both greater respect and financial reward. Situations like this have precedent. The promotion has seen major names depart after disputes or dissatisfaction. Figures such as Francis Ngannou, Nate Diaz, and Tito Ortiz all eventually left following conflicts of their own. Observers now worry that another elite heavyweight could be heading toward the same exit, a scenario that would leave the division significantly weakened. Across the MMA landscape, reactions have been divided. Commentators, including Ariel Helwani and Michael Bisping, have publicly supported Aspinall, arguing the foul was severe and that the post-fight remarks about him were unfair. Many fans echoed that sentiment, criticizing the tone of the comments. Others, particularly supporters of Ciryl Gane, argued he should have tried to continue. But medically and competitively, the situation is straightforward. When eyesight is compromised by a direct finger strike, continuing isn't a matter of willpower. It becomes a question of safety. What's clear now is that Aspinall's frustration has reached a breaking point. If he ultimately decides to leave, it could force the organization to confront the consequences of how its top contenders are treated when conflict arises.